it is for just live recording will be available for those who could not join live. They will be seeing later. That's all. Okay, ma'am?
Sir, right, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. Namaskar. Welcome back to this live. Abhi, you please do share in WhatsApp groups. Yes. And I'm here with this evening social studies, Shubha Venugopal madam. She has been doing a lot for us. So she has been sending me the PDFs, and she has prepared just in a day all the 10 topics and summing up about 100 slides PPT. So I hope these two will give you how much she is committed, and she has been contributing for us. So though a bit late, yes, we will take the best possible guidance from her within these 2-3 days. And for those who have scheduled a little later, for them we will continue this guidance. So today she is ready with us with our 2019 paper, which you have written yesterday. And key for the other areas, yes, yesterday I have given the CDP, Child Development Pedagogy. Those of you could not make it live can view from our YouTube channel, which is available there. 4.5 hours marathon session covering various aspects, including doubts clarification on your pre-admit card, e-admit card, part 1 admit card, part 2 admit card. Apart from that, we also have had the sessions of clarifying EVS, CDP, Child Development Pedagogy, paper 1 and paper 2 by me, and many more things. That's a lovely session. All right. So with these words, I invite Shubha ma'am to start the session. For her convenience, I'll be helping and supporting madam by sharing this PPT. All right. Related to your 2019 paper. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Good
Yes,
evening, one of you.
Good evening, ma'am.
Very kind and considerate of Dr. Yakaiah to have been so very kind to me. In fact, I thank him for giving me this opportunity to contribute a little, very little, an iota, because he is the greatest contributor to the wellness of the society through his educational pursuits. It's not very easy for him to, or for any other person to run such a big show, and he's always ever active, all 24/7 and 365 days. He is always busy, and he not only is busy, but he inspires others also to get as busy as or as active as he is. So we are really blessed to have Dr. Yakaiah to support this cause for education. Now I open this with a small introduction to, already I have spoken to you on social studies, why we have to take this subject. Now it's unfortunate that the societies or the parents, you can say, they are always focused on the children becoming either engineers or doctors, but nobody bothers to tell the child you can also become something else. For example, an IAS or an IFS, or you can join the army. See how that CDS was given such a big farewell for the contribution. So you can contribute to the society, and actually speaking, contribution to society is more important rather than anything else. Therefore, a social studies teacher is having a great responsibility to develop the young, ignorant, innocent children into students, and then sculpt their lives and to make them grow into very progressive and contributing citizens, very constructive human beings who can contribute their might professionally and personally, which we call as personal efficacy and social efficacy. So we are having such beautiful people like Dr. Abdul Kalam, Mother Teresa, and you have our own Narendra Modi, who is also contributing in his own way. Of course, he's a political figure, so we can't talk much about him because there is a lot of controversy. People may like him, people may not like him, but anyway, he is trying to do. But unfortunately, we are also having parallelly terrorism Today also in Jammu and Kashmir, we had this terrorist attack where 3 Jawans or policemen died in the night because it was dark. So when we are talking about ethics and values, we are parallelly seeing people who are very, very cruel and they don't care for human life. This is a tragedy, but we have to change the mindset of people and make them very beautiful human beings. So we start for the first question. The main aim of a social science teacher should be, as I told you, to make very competitive, very, very intelligent, very value-based and beautiful citizens who are constructive in their approach towards the society and its progress. Therefore, the options are to develop competition among students. Okay, we call 2 types of competitions: healthy, negative competition, or you can say unhealthy competition and healthy competition. A healthy competition can also always be promoted, but then our aim is not only to create competition among students, but to do many other things. For example, to develop an awareness of connections between all elements that shape society, because ultimately society is a reflection of the human beings which are having their abode as the society, or which make the society. Then to make learners memorize the socio-historical facts. I know you know that it is a wrong answer. So to prepare learners in maintaining the status quo in the society and accept all decisions of the government. Not at all, because we are we are the members of the largest democracy. Therefore, you must be knowing by now that answer 2, that is to develop an awareness of connections between all elements that shape society, is the right answer. And thank you. And we'll go to the next slide. Now, you know the difference between assessment, quantitative this one, and then qualitative, that is evaluation. So you are having examinations at the outset. You are having diagnostic placement, diagnostic evaluation, formative evaluation, summative evaluation, all these there. But finally, it is a summative evaluation which will count, because here you're going to sit on judgment on what sort of a grade or division should be given to the particular student who is contributing his cognitive and other domains, skills, etc. So the first option given to you is to recall textbook knowledge and reduce exam stress for all learners. In one way, you can say, you can appreciate this stand. Why? Because most of the students, or you can say, I'm sorry to say that, many students are not very, very, are not bestowed with great intellect. Therefore, whenever we set the paper, we are having that objectives, knowledge, how much we have to give for knowledge, how much we have to give for understanding, etc. By and large, the main motive or the objective of the teacher is to see that the child goes to the next class. So this is the fundamental or essential, because you don't know when people will bloom. Those who are very, very going haywire or very mischievous during their childhood, they can blossom into great human beings or great leaders. So you can never say when a child will bloom. Therefore, in one way it is correct, but anyway, categorizing and labeling learners, this is a very negative approach, because you have no right to label on the learner or label the learner into any category. Then to highlight social differences among the learners, this is another negative aspect of the thing. So we are left with the option to give learners feedback and setting standards for them to strive towards. Yes, you have to pass through the parameters and reach the benchmark. So Mr. Yakaiah has already reached the benchmark. So you can see like that, we have to set benchmarks and then reach it. Therefore, the fourth option is the right answer here, because it gives learners feedback and also it sets standards for them to strive towards the ultimate quality or standardization is got. Now we can come to the 71st slide. So why films are important? Yes, because they are a reflection of the real life of people. Films are not made out of some imagination. Most of the films reflect the day-to-day life of individuals. Only some historical and mythological films are there. like Bahubali, etc., which are of course imaginative and fictitious. But by and large, if you see, most of the films will carry the characters which are which are part or who are part of the society. So films can be used as an effective pedagogic tool in the social science classroom because films can bring the world into the classroom. First option. How can they bring, as I told you, the characters in the film are only the reflections of the people who are abiding, or not abiding, who are the citizens of a country. Therefore, we are bringing the entire global citizens into the small frame called a cinema, which is giving us a lot of entertainment, as well as some messages are also given to us as to how we have to lead our life. Second option given to you is films inspire us with the power of discovering the unseen and the unheard context. Yes, to a certain extent, yes, it's very, very correct. Or you can say that it is correct. Then films bring stories, voices, and images that in life may be far removed from us. Yes, because most of them are magnified, because people come to spend their time in the cinema hall or in the theater to forget their own miseries or their everyday problems. So you cannot just reflect only the reality. We have to take them into an imaginary field where they can live in joy for at least 3 hours. Films are objective medium which can encourage learners to frame their views in a singular manner that is very narrow in their thought process. So in these 4 options given to you, you have given ABC, ABD, and other things, but by and large, films can bring the world into the classroom is a very good option. So you can combine the option A with option B. Films inspire us in which the power of discovering the unseen and unheard context. And you can also say that films bring stories, values, and images that are in life may be far removed from us. Films are objective medium which can encourage learners to frame their views in a singular manner. All these in one way are by and large correct, but then we will take the ABC are correct. Only C and D are correct is not wrong, is not right. So we can take that as A is the most important one in this. What is it? Films can bring the world into the classroom. In one way, it brings the essence of the story, the importance of films. Now we'll come to the 72nd slide. Which of the following statements is correct in the context of using map in a classroom? First of all, why do we have to use map? Because social studies is full of geography and historical phenomena, and even in one way, even civics or political science, there are 4 aspects of one is economics, one is political science, one is history, and one is geography. You may wonder how map is relevant to all these 4. Yes, it's very relevant. For example, if you want to know who got the Nobel Prize for Welfare Economics, immediately map will help you to find out that he is born in India, but he resided. Our own RBI governor, who has now started staying in the United States. You can say that Raghuram Rajan was also an Indian. Indira Nui, the CEO of Pepsi Cola, and last not but the least, Nadella Satya, and also the Google CEO or the Google Power, Sundar Pichai, is also from India. So it doesn't have any relation to only geography. It has relationship with history, because anything which happens, for today example, something great happened in Kasi. This will be telecast all over the world, and people who don't know India also can find it in the map. So a map is very, very important. So in one way, it will help us to understand the global picture geographically, politically, economically, and in every way, for historically also. So map is a socio-political construct. We'll come back. Second option is, from time immemorial, North has always been shown at the top of a map in all socio-political contexts. It depends upon the happenings which occur there. Then map is a three-dimensional device, whereas we live in a two-dimensional world. Map is an aid to develop a sense of time in learners. So you know the choices very well, that if you take, it is the best answer here will be map is a socio-political construct. It can be only a socio-political construct because it will help us to understand the social scenario as well as the political scenario. And a socio-political cultural, you can say, he has not included that cultural also, because culture speaks of the country and its so we have socio-political cultural construct also embedded in this in one way, if you see in the widest fashion. Then we come to the 73rd question. In an effort to connect learning with learner's life, the social science teacher needs to. So the social studies teacher's main stay or objective should be to connect the learner and his life. And for this, what is that exercise the social studies teacher has to take? Intentionally and explicitly include diverse cultural perspectives in the subject content. Why this is not absolutely correct, although it is relatively correct, is because it's not only cultural perspective we are going to talk about. We are more concerned about the social aspect of man, the economic aspect of man, and the political aspects of the society. Point out the personal and family backgrounds of the learners in the class. I don't know how far you agree with this statement. Point out the personal and family backgrounds of the learners in the class. This option can be taken positively and negatively, because if you point out the personal family backgrounds of the learner, one defect is that if they are coming from the oppressed classes, they will feel very bad. If you are coming from the forward caste or forward classes, then no problem. So this is one hitch here. Then give learners opportunity to share their examples and experiences in the class. So in a one way, you can see that the B, point out the personal and family backgrounds of the learners in the class can be done in a very, very beautiful fashion by the teacher, because she can highlight the positivities which are existing in that, and then she can tell them how they have to relate their learning and their own life. So in one way, you can say A and B are correct, or you can say B and C are correct, because they give very, very close options. So give learners opportunity to share their examples and experiences in the class. Connect learning, because this will also give us an insight into what are their learning experiences. So it's a difficult choice anyway. The absolute will be the second option. Now we'll go to the 74th. While teaching history, genealogy chart is used to represent the growth and development of an empire or a dynasty, show sequence and functional relationships, provide a chronological framework, and develop a sense of space in learners. Now, among the four options given to you, you can find out that mostly it is focused on the growth and development of an empire or a dynasty. It is the essence of a genealogy chart. And in one way, sequence and functional relationships, but provide a chronological framework, because which dynasty came after which dynasty, and who are the rulers in succession, all these are very important. So chronology chart is also important. So you can take as A, for example, you can take A and C. In a way, they combine a lot. And so A, B, C are also given as an option. You cannot contradict that, because sequence is shown and functional relationships are shown. So you cannot condemn that. So you can take the option A, B, C are correct. Okay, shall we move to 75? What adaptations in the teaching? What adaptations in the teaching learning process should a social science teacher make while engaging learners who are visually challenged? You know, it is very simple. Visually challenged means, unfortunately, they either are born blind or they lose their sight in between, or some visual impairment is there, like audio impairment. What is that we'll say? Be a hearing impairment, like that visual impairment is also there. So we can say that speak clearly and loudly with appropriate pauses and reiterations. Okay, to a certain extent, it will help them to, but use a variety of visually appealing worksheets. Can you do this? That is a big question, because whether you are going to, if you are going to use, of course, they are having this braille language for them to help in their process of learning. Give verbal clues to create opportunities to imagine. This is also a good combination. Introduce tactile materials during classroom. Yes, tactile means touch, because blind mostly learn through touch also. So the option can be A, speak clearly, and C, give verbal clues to create opportunities, and introduce what is that tactile materials also can be introduced during the classroom discussion. So you can take that as not only A, B, but A, C, and D also. Only B is use a variety of visually appealing worksheets. This is a little contradiction, because unless they are going to use the Braille language, how far this is going to help them is going to be a question. But anyway, you can also take this B only also, no problem at all. So this is how you are going to tackle that question. Consider the statements on project method in social science teaching. Now, project is something which the learner has to do by himself, and the teacher is only a facilitator here. So it is inspired by pragmatic perspective. Naturally, it is an activity method, because you do a lot of activity during the project method. It turns learners into discoverers. Yes, very much, because they discover during the process of project method. It is entirely a teacher-centered method. In very remotely, you can say it's a teacher-centered method, because the teacher here, although he initiates that, but the entire work is done by the, because data collection, whether it is sitting on evaluation, project report, all these things are done by the students. So the guidance is given. So remotely we can say, yes, it is a teacher-centered method, but by and large in pedagogy, it is categorized as project method is coming under a teachers and pupil-centered method. It allows learning through self-directed activity is very, very correct. So you can say that pragmatic approach, yes, it turns learners into discoverers, yes, very much. And it allows learning through self-directed activity, yes, very much, yes. So I don't know how far to agree with C, because it's not a teacher-centered method, it is a pupil-centered method, because problem solving, all this come or fall under innovative methods, and also the by and large you cannot condemn the role of the teacher, because it is he or she who inspires the children to do all this. So how far this can be also taken is a big if. So you can say A and B, if you're correct, means it's a pragmatic method. It will turn learners into discoverers. A, B, and D, yes, A, B, and D. It turns, so they are more relevant, I see. So you can take as A, B, and D. 77, a social science teacher willing to inquire with a constructivist perspective would view the learner as curious to explore on social processes, imaginative on the basis of sources, trying to suggest solutions to problems, postponing discussions on controversial controversial issues for higher educational level. Now he is putting you always into a fix. So a social, what is the question? First we'll analyze. A social science teacher, yes. What is she willing to, or he is willing to inquire with what? A constructive perspective, approach, or view. Would view the learners. When the teacher is more constructive in his opinion or in his vision or in her vision, she will or he will view the learner as, yes, absolutely curious to explore on social processes. How the social processes are taking place, Yes, they're very, very curious. Imaginative on the basis of sources. Yes, just a source is given and they fly off. Trying to suggest solutions to problems. Yes, who will do that? View the learner as trying to suggest solutions to problems, postponing discussions at all. Discussions on controversial issues for higher education level. In a way, this is wrong because the teacher should never postpone the controversial issues. But by and large, we avoid controversy in the class. So you can take for curious to explore on social processes. And then next one is imaginative on the basis of sources. And sometimes, yes, you can say ABC. You can take this because this postponing discussions on controversial issues. Yes, if it is a very young class or young at the elementary level or the lower middle level or middle level, I think, yes, they will not be very, what is it, poignant or potential they won't have to discuss controversial issues. And by and large, it's better to avoid controversy in the classroom. So it can be a combination of A, curious to explore, imaginative, yes, trying to suggest solutions to problems. Yes, we can take that as the answer. So you need not take only B because they were given you options. You can combine which are more relevant. Now shall we go to the 78th? Which of the following may be helpful towards making social science curriculum more inclusive? Nowadays, it's very, very common to hear these two terms, inclusive and exclusive. We always have to practice inclusiveness because if you exclude that, those children will always find themselves with an inferiority complex and also be found, they will find themselves segregated. The parents of the children also will be struggling. So engendering the curriculum, uniform instructions and a fixed teaching way in classroom, engaging with the different sources, official as well as subaltern context, one exam paper fitting all learners. So in one way, it's a tough question whether this inclusiveness will allow. Then there is a big controversy here because you are having three types of intellectual levels in the classroom, in the normal classroom itself. Intellectual, where the intelligent quotient is very high, who are very active, hyperactive, who are active, who are just average, and who are below average. When you are going to set a paper, then the teacher should be very, very careful to satisfy all levels of that. But then in an inclusive classroom, you are going to add somebody who is not up to the level of the classroom. Therefore, uniform instructions and fixed teaching way in classroom will be more, I think it will be more contributing to the children who are not exactly fitting into the framework of this. But anyway, you can say engendering the curriculum in one way because you should not have any difference in gender. No discrimination should be given in the gender or shown for gender. Uniform instruction should be followed. And A and C only means engendering the curriculum, and C engaging with different sources, official as well as the subaltern context. And B, C, and D means uniform instruction, engaging with different sources, and D, one examination fitting the papers. In fact, you engendering the curriculum is not very, very important because we are talking about not about a gender here, but about the inclusiveness. So in very remotely, you can say gender is also inclusive because when you have only boys school or girls school like that, but mixed school also, like where the boys and girls are there in the class. So there engendering the curriculum is also very, very important. So I think uniform instructions and a fixed teaching way in the classroom. And then you can also go to engaging with one exam paper fitting all learners also to a certain extent, because you can give the options if you want for the higher intellects or for those people who are hyperactive. And so you can say that B, is uniform. C is engaging with different sources, official as well as the subaltern context. And D, one exam paper excluding A. You can take that as a somewhat a closer benchmark because then inclusiveness can be practiced in the class. Why should students learn to be critical? Now, it's very, very important. I think in today's class, I was talking to you about critical thinking. You know, from times immemorial, we've been trained to just mug and reproduce. This mugging, rote method has been encouraged for times immemorial. I'm very sorry to say that this was not existing during the Vedic period or the ancient period. It was always the Socratic method, etc. Only after the British came to India, they wanted this, they introduced this, what is it, Macaulay's downward filtration theory, where they wanted to make all the Indian slaves of their own. So in that way, process, they wanted as many Indians as possible to work for them. So they thought large admissions or mass teaching and what is mugging. So they did not. So our system is continuing with this mugging only without any critical thinking. So why should students learn to be critical is to point out flaws and being cynical about everything. No, you should never be cynical. You should be always very, very optimistic. To maintain the status quo in the society is also not a very correct answer, not at all a correct answer. To understand how issues are related to their own lives is the correct answer. To appreciate uniform, homogeneous perspective is also to a certain extent, but it is very standardized here. To understand how issues are related to their own lives is very important because only from there learning will start. Then we'll go to 80. Select the example that represents diversity from the following examples. Now we have got some cases here. Diversity, speaking about diversity. First one is Saroj. What is Saroj doing? She got the chance to go to school while Nirmala did not get the chance to go to school. So our preamble says, or our constitution says equal opportunity. But here we are seeing that this girl is not having equal opportunity. That is, Nirmala did not get the opportunity to go to school for various reasons. Alan belongs to a poor family while Simon's family is very rich. Here also you can see the inequality in income and economic status. Then Raghu does not want to include Suresh in the football team because he comes from a particular community of society. Yes, this is being practiced even now. Raghu does not want to include Suresh in the football team because he comes from a particular community of society, that is social discrimination. And we shall go to the fourth one. What is the fourth option is? Fourth option is Paritosh knows good Bangla, whereas Suchita speaks Hindi. So this will be your correct answer because knowing some other some other language apart from your own is the correct answer. Therefore, option 4 will stand good in this case. We'll go to 81. A social science excursion trip in a school involved a visit to Zero, Bombardier, Nandapa National Park, Thawang and Leisang village. Now these are placed, these are different places of tourist places. On which medium could you ask the students to mark the 2 states they had visited? So the students have gone for a visit to Mizoram and Meghalaya on a map, Manipur and Sikkim on a timeline, Arunachal Pradesh and Manipur on a map, and then Nagaland and Tripura on a time. No, Arunachal Pradesh and Manipur on a map because it is a geographical journey. So therefore, you are trying to pass through the latitudes and longitudes and also going to cover the phenomena, the whatever you're seeing, the places and the phenomena there through a very good statewide visit. So Arunachal Pradesh and Manipur on the map will be the correct answer for you. So we'll go to the next one, 82. Contemporary understanding of social science pedagogy encourages teachers to do all the following except encourage learners to learn by reading local experience of others and finding about their own. First option. You should have understood this. The teacher should encourage the learners to learn by reading local experiences. Yes, they are very, very important because you will know how to lead a good life. Be a Roman when you are in Rome. This is helpful for you because you may go to any remote place or any. So if you are not going to fit into that culture or into that society, you will be a failure. Then promoting all learners to give identical answers to question so that all will improve. I don't think you will agree with this or you will disagree with this. Should the teacher promote all learners to give identical answers to question so that all improve? Yes, in a way it's correct. Why? Because they have to arrive at the correct answer. But in a way it's not very correct because each child will have or will learn through or will wade through his own individual experiences and his own perspective and his own perception. So how far this is exactly correct, I am not very much satisfied with this, but anyway, appreciate learners' ability to make questions on the given subject content and accepting it as a valid test of learning. Yes, very much. Encourages to do the following, except they have said. So we have to discard one, give opportunities to learners to use their knowledge developed in the classroom at concrete situations. So the question is, here you are asking to eliminate one answer. So you have to eliminate the second answer because each child or each student will come from a different background, social, economic, educative, literary, cultural background. So you cannot expect the same answer to be given to the questions she has posed or he has posed, because individual liberty has to be given. Now the school question paper has also been changed to more creative thinking. So elimination should be the second one, and encourage the students to read by reading the local experience because they will benefit how to accommodate, adjust, assimilate, and negotiate with the circumstances and compromise with the circumstances. Appreciate learners' ability to make questions on the given subject content and accepting it as a valid test for learning. Yes, learning is till you breathe your last. Gives opportunities to learners to use their knowledge developed in the classroom at concrete situations. Yes, except this, I feel all other options are very relevant to this particular question. 83. The following is not an example of gender stereotyping. Only boys being encouraged to participate in the question is, the following is not an example of gender stereotyping. Only boys being encouraged to participate in the football tournament. You know that nowadays girls also play, although it's a strenuous this thing, football is also being played by the girls. Only the girls in class are asked to decorate the class boards. Third one is, while boys try to monopolize the class discussions, attention is given to both girls and boys to encourage participation. Fourth option is, boys and girls are made to sit in separate rows for ensuring discipline in class. So the option will be only boys are encouraged? Not at all, because the question is, following is not an example of gender stereotyping. Only girls in the class, this is also gender stereotyping. Third one is, boys try to monopolize the classroom. Attention is given to both boys and girls to encourage participation. Boys and girls are made to. So option 4 is eliminated, option 2 is eliminated, and option 1 is eliminated. Therefore, we arrive at the conclusion, boys and while boys try to monopolize, we have to go to the next one. Now, effective teaching of social science practices of the, would require perpetuating all cultural practices of the past, critical analysis of literary texts, howsoever old they may be, discarding all sources which are non-textual, giving primacy to triangulation of sources. Now, perpetuating of all cultural practices of the past. critical analysis. That is, you can say that it is cultural practice of the past can always be passed on to the progeny, because culture is very rich and we have been receiving this culture only from the previous generations of our Buzurg. Critical analysis of literary texts, very good. However, howsoever old they may be, yes, you cannot condemn the critical analysis of Vedas or Upanishads or Bible or Quran, etc. Although they may agree or not, discarding all sources which are non-textual is exactly not very amicable answer for this. You cannot discard all sources which are non-textual. Textbook is not the only Bible. We can take from all other sources, primary sources, secondary, tertiary, etc., giving primacy in triangulation of sources. In a way, you can say that perpetuating all cultural practices of the past, critical analysis of literary texts, howsoever old they may be, discarding all sources which are non-textual, giving primacy primacy to triangulation of sources. So the option 3, we can say, is among the combinations. 3 can be removed, but in most of the cases they have put C also. But you can say that discarding all sources which are non-textual. In a way, I don't agree with this. So anyway, we have to discard, because text is the Bible for the student. So therefore, you cannot condemn the importance of the textbook. So it's very difficult to say that please condemn all non-textual resources. It's painful for me. Anyway, I can't help it. So perpetuating all cultural practice of the past, critical analysis of the literary texts, however old they may be, and giving primary triangulation to sources can also be taken. So you can say take B, critical analysis, and D, discarding, giving primary triangulation of sources. Yes, it's a good combination. Yes, 84. 84D, giving, yes, you can take that as the answer. You can discard all sources. I am painful for that, but anyway, what else to do? Now, coming to 85, sensitivity on social justice in a classroom can be encouraged by. What do you mean by sensitivity? When there is something which is socially unjust happening, then you have to sensitize the children toward the establishing social justice. I have already told you that jurisprudential method is very, very good for this, because children themselves are hearing the cases and sitting on judgment, so that they're making the classroom sensitized to the establishment of social justice, incorporating contemporary experts from people's struggles. And the next one is incorporating contemporary excerpts from people's struggles and stories of advocacy during classroom discussions. We'll come back to this. Keeping the understanding of the historical context of the Indian social milieu in the context of unequal power equations. Yes. Engaging in classroom discussions on the constitutional provisions on social justice, prompt corporeal punishment on the defaulting children. Completely D is to be eliminated. Then you can take as ABC, because A is very relevant. Keeping the understanding of historical context of the Indian social milieu, because there was, and there is always a social disparity, and that is how new religions like Buddhism and Jainism evolved, because of the social discrimination. Therefore, you can take that, and then you can say that this one, engaging in classroom discussion, is very, very appropriate. So you can say, you can discard completely corporal punishment, and you can take the combination A, B, and C, which are very, very valid. Next, pedagogy of history would try to construct history on the basis of sources, trace continuity and change in the social processes in history, and then history engages with differences in interpretations and accepts the dominant community's views. History views events by situating them with socio-political context of a particular period. So history is nothing but man's story, his story. constructive history on the basis of sources, trace continuity and change in the social processes in history. Yes, in one way, this is very important, because as you are constructing history, it is not only you are going to record what happened at that particular time, but you are going to concentrate more and more on how the change occurred, whether the pattern is continuing or whether. For example, if you take ancient India, medieval India, and modern India, you see a sea of change, a sea of difference and change, because in the ancient period, Hinduism was the dominant religion in India, and there was in the post-Vedic period, they introduced the social stratification, which we are following even in 221. Now, next one is that when you come to the medieval period, India was continuously being eroded and being invaded by people, Muhammad Ghori, Muhammad Tughlaq, so many people, hundreds, so many Europeans like Dutch, like Portuguese, and the shameless ruling of the Britishers for more than 150 years. So when did we not undergo any invasion or problem? We always were. So there was a lot of change in the period. For example, during the ancient period itself, when the people were fed up with the hierarchical status and the ego exhibited by the Hindus, especially the Brahmins, they wanted to embrace a new religion. So many religions came into the fore, but only two religions stood the test of time, which is Buddhism and Jainism. So this change is inevitable. So you can see that the education which was given in the ancient period also, though by and large it was a Gurukula system in one way, the Buddhist education was so different from the Jain education and that. So then what happened during the medieval period, everyone knows. The Mughals, starting from the Delhi Sultanate to the Mughals, they almost ruined Hinduism. They even tried to sabotage the Sikhs in the Punjab, and they were put into a lot of humiliation. That's why Sikhism rose in the 1400s through our Sikh Guru. There are 10 Gurus. Guru Gobind is the last Guru. Guru Nanak is the founder of Sikhism. So you can find that there is a lot of change and continuity, and there were a lot of revolts, like peasant revolt, so many revolts during the medieval period against the Islamic leaders or the Mughal rulers and others. And out of all the Mughal rulers, the only benevolent ruler was Akbar, who was he founded this Din Ilahi, one beautiful religion where he took the essence of all religions and he combined into Din Ilahi. He patronized Hindus. He encouraged Hindu schools to parallelly. He did not snub them. He himself married a Rajput. So in great ways, Akbar showed a lot of, but you can say that there was trace of continuity and change in the social construction of the history. So history engages with the differences in interpretation and accepts the dominant community's views. In one way, remotely, yes, because whoever is the ruling party, only there, for example, now BJP is ruling India. Naturally, Modi's word will be the ultimate and everybody will say Namma Modi. But when Sonia Gandhi was there, they said Jai Sonia. So definitely the ruling party or the dominant community will definitely, and others will not be given that much of. History views events by situating them with socio-political context of a particular period. Yes, to a certain extent is very correct. So you can say construct history on the basis of sources is one way correct. But then because we are having all the historical sources, primary and secondary and tertiary sources, trace continuity and change. This is the most important aspect of all the four. History engages. So he did not give any four as options. So you can say that C we can discard if you are able to, and you can take A, B and D because within the socio-political, always history is concerned with social and political changes and context also. So because social dimension will differ, the political constraints or political, for example, there can be monarchy, there can be oligarchy, there can be dictatorial government, there can be despotism, there can be democracy. So this definitely socio-political approach is very, very important. And so I think you must be satisfied to at least to some extent. Thank you very much for being very patient with me. I hope I could help you to a little bit, or a little at least, with my own intellectual capacity. But anyway, thank you very much. Good night for today, and we'll meet tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much, madam. We are indeed indebted to you.
Bye, sir.
And let me tell you all viewers, madam can deliver one lecture on each of these questions. But in view of paucity of time and of course, the context of the exam, she is to the point, have been presenting us the required facts. Thank you so much. We look forward for tomorrow's session, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.